we're used to coming to you at 11 p.m., but because of the game, we decided, hey, we enjoy the game just as much as you do. So I'm Charles Morse with the original, I say the original Coach Carter. How you doing, Coach? How you doing?
Doing really well, thank you. Another great night here in Tennessee. Nice weather. No rain at this time. Some coming, but we're having a great evening.
Man, this week, man, we need some rain desperately. I called my cousin today because I wanted to check on him because he's in Arkansas, and he did return my call later on. I called him yesterday, and I called him today because of all the flooding that's been going on in this area. So I wanted to
Hmm.
see how him and his congregation was doing, and he said, he's good. He said one of the churches, the street a block away is flooded, but so far everybody's good. But we're dry here, and in the Midwest and other places, it's raining like crazy. But we haven't had any serious rain in a while here, so
We're suffering from.
we're hoping for some rain.
Yeah, we're scheduled to have some up in our area. I'm leaving for Kentucky in the morning, and even up in that area where there's rain expected. So we're getting a little bit of nothing today, but it's coming later on tonight, probably tomorrow. So in our area and up that way, we're going to be getting rain. So that's going to it's kind of needed, but we haven't had a whole lot lately either.
Okay, before we get to tonight's game, and I would have been like, if Toronto didn't win this game, they might as well just not play the rest of the season. But we're going to get to the game. I wanted to ask you before we get to the game, uh, what is there anything else you've heard about the Lakers and that madness that's going on? Anything new?
Well, they just recently hired Lionel Hollins, who used to be a coach of the Lees and a couple of other teams, as coming on as an assistant. So far between Vogel, Jason Kidd, and now him, they got a very experienced coaching staff there. A lot of which could be very beneficial uh, to them in the long run. I don't. I think the greatest thing they have to fix is administration between Jenny Buss, Rod Belinka, and the Rampuses. They've got to clean that up and really get their image back on. The step now, and they got to make a move with LeBron. They got to make a move with the rest of the team. But if you can say there's anything positive, I think right now the most positive thing they've done, in my opinion, is to address their coaching staff. But I still think they've got to address the administration, ownership, all of that, because there's some bad situations that, in my opinion, that were done. They need to fix, and maybe this is their steps in doing so. But not a bad hire.
Um, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. See, I know him. He played for San Antonio. Uh, Left-handed point guard. That was recently was interviewing. I think with is it the 76ers. No, who is it? What's his name? Um, that played for the 76. I mean the Spurs. He was a point guard.
Come on, Avery Johnson.
Yes, yes, Avery
Well,
Johnson.
he's interviewing for an assistant's job at 76ers.
Right, yeah. 76. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a good place for him because what he brings to the table, I don't think it fits well out there. Then they don't they got to clean some stuff up before they can benefit, in my opinion, from what he brings. They got a good group right now. The problem they got to fix is players on the floor. There's some rumors about LeBron being traded. There's rumors about trading a lot of the players to get other players. They're going to have to do some of that. I'm really in favor of trading LeBron, and because I think if you look at what they have overall, they do have a nucleus that they could put something really good on the floor and have a really good in a while, but they're not going to have it instantly. And I don't think they can instantly put together the type of team that they're talking about. We'll find out soon because free agency starts the end of June. And that last day early instead of midnight, it'll be early in the afternoon. Then with the draft coming up, it's going to be a lot of movement out there that may benefit them in the long run. But if they don't have their house in order, I don't think it's going to matter. They got young talent. I think they need to trade Ball. There's been an offer on the table to get rid of Ball. I think they need to get rid of Ball. I really think they need to get rid of LeBron while they can, and because LeBron, quite honestly, doesn't have the same value he had before. It was an anticipatory action that he was going to be able to put butts in seats and excitement on the floor. And I think they could have done that if they had stayed on their previous course. But to come up with this idea of injecting mid-season, we're going to AD in, we're going to trade the whole team, and it didn't happen. It just really messed up the chemistry. It messed up a lot of those kids. They were unable to get their head wrapped around being treated like that. Then you got the Magic Johnson situation that occurred as well. I mean, it's just a mess. I think, I don't know for sure, but the first couple of steps seem to be addressing from the coaching. They're not wanting to replace the position, which is going to give full control. I think that's a mistake, but hey, that's what they want to do. So far, 3 good hires, and getting Vogel and then bringing on Hollins. So we'll see how that pans out. And they've got to do some more. They got to get ready for the draft coming up, and they got to get ready for the free agents war. So they got a lot to do.
Well, I think it was last week, a week before last, I think I said something in reference to, there was a report out there that Katie and Kyrie was headed to the Knicks. Now, the rumor now is Kyrie is a good chance of going to Brooklyn. KD may stay with the Warriors if they lose, but if they win, he probably will leave. So I think it's interesting that you would choose Brooklyn over the Knicks, just from the standpoint because it's just the Knicks, the brand.
Well,
Especially when you have his ego.
Well, Brooklyn has a nice young nucleus. They have the availability to have a guy that can have the ball in his hand and create out there to go along with what they have. Secondarily, there's money involved, and I think all of these speculations aren't worth anything until you put the dollars on the table. That's going to change a lot. A lot of talking heads just talking. And I think some of that is suggestions, some of that is talked about, some of that would be wishful thinking. The bottom line is, if you don't have the dollars, it's not going to happen. So I'm not taking any of it seriously until we get past free agency and we see what that war looks like. Do we see like what they draft? And then you can talk to me about these possibilities, because anything else to me other than that is somebody's opinion. And these players don't know what they're going to do because they want to go somewhere, but when whoever offered them money, that changes people's position. So I'm not stocking anything. I'm listening. I'm hearing a whole lot of things. Some sounds interesting. Some sound ultimately ridiculous. Some sound very intriguing. But the bottom line will come probably July when we'll find out for real what all this really looks like.
It's going to be interesting to see how Golden State keep all their pieces together, because they were saying they got to be able to pay Clay, and then how are you going to pay all of them and keep that team together? So you got what, four guys looking for the max? I don't know. So that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to keep all of them and pay all of them.
Well, I'm sure they found there's a way for that to be done, but you have to sacrifice some players in order to do that. And I'm sure they've been very creative in keeping that nucleus together over the years, understanding they have these big paydays coming up. So I wouldn't, they've been very smart so far. But I do think this is going to be creative. I mean, they're gonna have to make some decisions. So I agree. It will be interesting to see how they actually pull it off, or what direction they actually go into, which direction they're going, because change directions.
Guess who's in the market for DeAndre Russell?
Who's that?
The Orlando Magic.
Um,
They're making a push for him.
Not a bad move. The Magic got a few dollars to throw on the table. There was a kid, B.J. Taylor, who had a great year at Boone High School. He went on to UCF and did some great years over there, trying out for the Magic. So that'd be great to have a local product on the Magic squad, if that's possible. I haven't heard his outcome yet, but just the idea that they would entertain him, very intriguing. It could really help build that roster. So yeah, the Magic and what they're doing, they're being a little quiet about it. At least I don't know how much buzz you're getting in Orlando, but I know out in the marketplace, not much being said. They're being very quiet about it and moving in the dark and in the back shadows. And I think that's for them. That's probably the best way to go. And they're making some moves, and they're going to be a player in this free agency thing also. I don't know how big of a player they're going to be, but they're going to be a player.
You know what? You can always tell because the summer is slow, Vince. The summer is so slow when it comes to sports, especially now because there's really nothing going on. But every a few nights there's the playoffs. Summer, I mean, football in their camps is kind of like headlining. Then there's Major League Baseball. But when you have on ESPN and they're having conversations, to me it's like some of the dumbest conversations to have when you talk about Kobe and Magic Johnson. Or it makes no sense to me when you talk about a Laker, like, well, is Kobe more of a Laker icon than Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson is, when I think of the icons of basketball players, when I think of the Lakers, there's too many Lakers that I think of. I think of Wilt Chamberlain. I think of Jerry West. I think of Gail Goodrich. I think of Jabbar. I think of Magic. I think of Kobe. And honestly, when it comes to the Lakers, Shaq is kind of like in there, but he's not in there, So when they sit there and they go back and me being from media, I get it's just a slow news day, and they just sit there and have some of the dumbest conversations you ever could have. Versus Magic and Kobe, like one is bigger than the other. If one had this time, one had. I mean, each player has this time, and one is no bigger than the other. It's just, to me, it's just an ignorant conversation.
Well, I kind of agree with you because I was reading some material and people are following LeBron James on the AAU circuit with his son. They've had an article out there about how he was being a typical dad, one of those annoying dads, coaching on the sideline, running up and down. I mean, I guess for me, that's more than anything else because he's irrelevant to the game of basketball right now. Who really cares what he's doing? You aren't following anybody else and what they're doing. All the focus should be on the playoff teams and what they're doing. Nobody cares about guys that are not there. I mean, let's just be honest. That's why it's a slow news day, that you would want to know that Mike Krzyzewski went to a LeBron James son game. And who cares? I mean, I think if you're a Duke fan, maybe that excites you. Maybe if you are LeBron fan, I'm neither, so I find that uninspiring. I think it's a waste of time. So, what I always say to people, you don't like something, you pick and choose what you look at, you pick and choose read, not to have anything to do with that at all, because that's just silly to me. I would rather hear the Magic Kobe controversy than to hear about a LeBron situation where I care nothing about. And quite honestly, Magic, the only reason Magic's relevant right now, and so would Kobe be relevant right now, would be the Laker debacle that's going on out there in LA. If they were playing decent ball, nobody would want to know about either one of them. And I mean, I understand that's sports, I understand that's news, and I'm okay with that, but just for me, it has no value.
Right. I did see somewhere that your son said he's going to play one more year and then he's going to hang it up. I did see.
Well, the anticipation, his plan would be to play one more year someplace, and he probably won't know what that looks like until after free agency has all after these teams have spinners and made their selection from the draft and stuff. So he would probably know maybe sometime in July. Hopefully, he'd have an idea. If not, it could be before that. And then he's announced that it would be his final run. That's it for him. He's going to do one more year, and he's going to hang it up. So exciting, I'm kind of excited because he's come to that decision. Not so much that he's leading the game, but he's decided to lead the game. That's a real big decision, and I just it's kind of interesting just to watch his um, uh, maybe legacy you might want to call it, kind of watch it come to an end.
you you know I wouldn't be surprised or maybe you're not telling us, but you might be getting mail or email or somebody asking you about your genes and could you
Hmm.
donate something to somebody, 'cause
Well, when people, I have had somebody did that once before, and I remind them I have other children. And okay, so they're not, no, they're playing WNBA.
that's funny.
So I don't know. I don't think that's going to work. Um, and so I kind of discount that idea, but hey, everybody's entitled to their own belief. Mhm.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Well, listen,
Mhm.
I had a good conversation with Marcia today, and
Okay.
I told her about the summit that's coming up, so she's excited. She wants to
Okay.
participate,
Oh,
especially
sure.
coming from the psychology of sports. And I said that's perfect.
Okay.
And so she said that she's gonna look at her schedule and she's gonna try to make it. And I didn't
Okay.
know that she said that she's working at a prison right now,
Okay.
some somewhere in Florida. She's working at a prison. I guess she's doing some counseling in a prison right now. So, but she's in and out of Orlando, and she's out of town right now.
Hmm.
But she's gonna look at a schedule to see if she can make it next month. And also, John Pacelli also is going to try to make it from FBBA. Remember John?
Uh-huh. Yes, I do remember John.
Right, right. And he's excited about it as well. So,
Have you heard anything else regarding Dawkins from UCF?
I reached out to Rollins College as well. I'm waiting to hear back from Rollins College. I'm waiting to hear back from Daytona State College, and I'm waiting to hear back from UCF. So, yeah. And also
Did, did,
from the gentleman from Florida Central Sports because he was reaching out to a couple of people as well.
did you reach out to the?
A few things in place um, next week.
Did you reach out to Doug Gabriel?
I'm sorry, did I reach out to him?
Doug Gabriel.
No, 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 Doug. No, I was going to ask you about that. I was.
I, if at all possible, you should, because he's still very heavily involved in both high school, and he's still connected to the Raiders as well. Goes out there from time to time to work with Fred Biletnikov's foundation out there. So he's still involved in dealing with that. He would be a great person to talk with because he's actually played professionally as well, and then to be a part of the high school process. So that, but it's coming from football, but it still addresses the same concern. And he's local.
We're covering sports. I mean, we're covering all
Yeah,
avenues of sports and the whole concept of the parent and you know.
and he's a parent, and he can speak from the parent standpoint. He has a young son who is starting to play football and kind of following his dad's footsteps. I think that would be great. That so he could bring that perspective. Dawkins could bring the perspective from his children or his child. So that would be a great way to talk about that because the dual hats that they have to wear as both coach and dad, which I think is a challenge for a lot of people, a lot of parents, even though they may not be a coach, but it is that fan and parent, and some of them consider themselves to be coaches as well. So interesting conversation. So
Did you see where Lillard and Beal and James Harden? Well, first
AD.
see and hear that the Rockets says everybody on the trading blocks right now. Did you?
Yeah, well, we talked about that, and I had said to you once before, earlier conversation, that they were probably going to have to blow that team up. Right now, with the owner's statement after their last loss during the playoff run, and now they were unable to work out a contract extension for D'Antonio. That was that. So though the owner was upset that when KD was out in a critical game, that then he wasn't satisfied with their play. Then comes the contract extension with D'Antonio that just broke down. Now they're willing to trade everybody. Chris Paul's on the trading block. Everybody talks for sure that he's probably going to be gone because he's coming up for a lot of money. And his age and the time of service against the amount of money they want to pay, they don't want to do that. And now they put everybody up. So they are doing proper. And I'm not too surprised given the owner. He's a very wise businessman in the restaurant. Well, he's just a businessman. He's a global businessman, and he runs a lot of different businesses. He has several chains of restaurants, to mention a few. And now he owns the team. Doesn't surprise me that this is taking place, and it almost has to. So yeah, I saw that and I kind of smiled and said, "Here we go."
Yeah, well, this summer is it might be a game changer, you know.
I think this summer.
And the funny thing is that as much as we talk and LeBron has been like the league and the top this, the top that, but the one thing about him going to the Lakers in their history don't look at LeBron like most people or most teams will look at LeBron because of their history and who they are. Now, even though their madness that they still got going on, but the history of that team, it'd be like, no man, you come here on the downside of your career, you probably only can give us about two or 3 years anyway. But
Well, and I think that was why the decision was made for him to go. He knew that. Um, I personally believe it was all about a personal strategy outside of the game of basketball. Just which is I'm not saying I'm mad with him for that decision. I think it's a smart decision because in order to do that, you have to have everybody on board. So other people bought into the idea of having him there, which allowed him to complete his personal strategy, and it's working. I mean, I think if they had stayed on script, got through the year, suffered through it like any team in a rebuilding mode would do, and then attack it this summer, they probably would have had more favor going on out there. They wouldn't. At least they would have been on target. But to go mid-season and decide you're just going to snatch AD up and uh, the Pelican from New Orleans, and see, and that's the case in point where I said it was a great idea, but it couldn't be done because there was too many parameters involved. There was dollars and cents, contracts, bodies had to move. People say, if I'm going to give this up, I want this. Well, I don't want to give you that. Well, then I don't want to do that. Back and forth. And so the areas that these talking heads pop up and sound so convincing about get washed away because bottom line, it costs money to do this. You got to have other people involved. You got to trade some bodies. Case in point, it didn't happen. Magic's action or the team action, everybody was expendable. I get that, but it didn't work. So now it backfired and you killed all the morale. Then you got the infighting. Thus you have the debacle that you have out there with the Laker Nation.
Kawhi just bought a house in Canada. You want to try
He also has one in California. He also has one in California.
Right, I got that, but I'm saying you want to try to read into that one. He bought one in California, but he also bought one in Canada. So who buys the house?
I mean, again, there's been some conversation that regardless of the outcome of the playoffs, he wants to go back to California. And the thought there would be that if he goes back to California, he would go to the Clippers. Well, I guess it makes sense if that's what he wants to do. It still hasn't been decided. Buying a house in Canada could be a real estate investment. It could have been a great time for him to do that for whatever be. So again, I look at it as okay, you got a house in Canada and you got a house in California. We need to wait and see how it pans out. For me, I don't get too excited about that, other than the fact that you kind of wonder, well, if you plan on but again, a real estate investment. He buy the house and move where he want to move. So there'll be again, conversation out there that says that he will be gone. I want to wait and see. Same thing they say about Kevin Durant. I want to see it happen. I want to see what happens.
And Vincent, because we don't know their true personalities and what truly motivates them, because some of us, the older athletes, when I say athletes from our day, could be more motivated by the fact that a whole country would be behind you. But today's athlete, their mindset with social media and their perspective is totally different than the athletes that we grew up with, because it was more about that being part of.
But you can't indict them for that, because it's a change of time.
No. That's not what I'm saying, Vince. No.
But
That's my
but I'm
point.
saying, he's in a situation where he clearly stated even before going to Canada
No, well,
that he wanted to go to California. Now Canada said,
But my question that I'm asking is not that. What I'm saying, because and that was my point, that not necessarily him, but talking about now the difference. And I'm not saying yay or nay on it. I'm just trying to acknowledge what we have evolved into versus the athletes that we grew up with. So I'm not criticizing them for it.
yeah,
But I'm just saying the
it's
mindset
expansion
of
of
the athletes.
life. Yeah, it's expansion of life and what they're facing now, as opposed, because the revenue base back then, it was different than it is now. The opportunity for them to make money, not only playing this game, but being associated with the game, has changed. That was so evident a few years ago when when Magic Johnson first retired and decided he wanted to coach. He was frustrated because players were more caught up on their contracts and their ability to make mega dollars than they were to be loved, than they were loving the game. That's but unfortunately, it's what they are, it's what they've been exposed to. It's what it has become. You look back at the history of the NBA. Larry O'Brien was the one that decided we need to grow this game bigger than what it was. He decided to get out, and David Stern was the one that really came along and pushed that bad boy into the corporate world because the game was leveling off. It was becoming mundane, if you would. So he opened up brand new avenues, business avenues where they could get revenue from it and grow. Thus, you have what you have today as it continues to grow. It doesn't look like it used to. Yeah, and it couldn't. It just couldn't stay that way. It probably would not have survived. And because as the world changed and it stayed there, it would probably die out. Look at football; it's struggling because it don't want to change, but you're going to have to, or you're not going to be able to compete because there's too many other entertainment opportunities out there for people to get involved in. They can go to fantasy stuff and get the same excitement they get from going to a real game. So you've got to step it up. And that's what I think you see today. I think the game itself is has evolved and still is still exciting. The you still put the ball in the basket. It's just different. The athlete is different. He's built different. The mentality of how to get that done has changed. But it's still the game. I still love the game. I don't, and I've learned to appreciate the difference in the game because you have to adjust. As a coach, I don't have I can't stay there. I gotta kind of, I may like it better this way, but if I want to stay competitive, I got to move into what we're going in, what they have today. Case in point, the NCAA has decided to push the 3-point line back to the FIBA line or the international line of the 3-point, another 20, which now makes it 20,
20,
22 feet and
22 feet.
one third,
Yeah,
one third.
right.
Okay, they're also going to reset the shot clock at 20 seconds, like the NBA resets theirs to 14. What that does is kind of balance out the game in terms of skill level, competition level, and kind of keeps it competitive and makes it so now kids got to learn new skills. We got to learn management skills. When that shot clock offensively, you get that basketball instead of getting a brand new clock, you're gonna go to 20 seconds. So you get so the same thing with the NBA, they went to 14. Those things are necessary to keep the game evolving because everybody those guys are knocking down 3-pointers like they're free throws. And now it's going to require another generation to come along and get proficient at shooting at that. I look at that all as evolution of the game, and I don't have to
But
like it.
I don't actually, Vince. I don't. You know, I don't. I watch the game in what you just said, but I struggle watching the game because what I see is they, to me, don't understand the game. To me, because it's either 3-pointers or nothing. The inside game, and that's what I was saying before, they seem to struggle on the mid-range inside when there's many opportunities, and they seem to shoot themselves out of the game and just the whole philosophy behind the game. Because the
Well,
3-point shot and opportunities has always been there, and that 3-point shot will always be there. But the mid-range game and the low post game, it just has suffered, and they have no clue. And so a lot of times, to me, they take themselves out of the game because they don't even begin to even know how to approach it that way. And so it's hard to watch sometimes because they have evolved into this, I gotta jack it up, I gotta jack it up, I gotta jack it up, I gotta jack it up. And then when you see the mid-range, the open this, the open that, and be like, they don't even know it exists. It's strange, it's
well,
weird, you know?
it's not that them. It's not that they don't know this. There is it's the way the game is being taught and it's the way the game is being coached. You got a bunch of guys that shoot a high percentage from the 3-point line. You're gonna have them shoot that three because that's what they do well. They perfected it. Uh, 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 and you have some kids that shoot threes better than they shoot free throws. That's just a matter of direction. That's how they're being coached. Now, I may not agree with that, but that's what you got. It would be foolish not to take advantage of that because not everybody on that team is shooting 3 pointers. You got some guys that shoot it really good, and but you got guys that still shoot that have to shoot the mid range because they can't shoot threes. You don't have the low post player like you used to, because those kids now are evolving into a stretch fours and stretch fives, and they're asking, a lot of teams are asking their five, which would have been your big man down on the block, to cover out on the wing because of the nature of the offense today to cover that 3 pointer. Somebody's got to get out there and at least put a hand on that guy's face. What you see evolving is more picking, especially at the NBA level, is more pick and roll. You don't find too much on the block play, but you find a lot of pick and roll to get that big guy to the basket. There is some give and go. There's some penetrating kick. A lot of that's taking place, but that actual drop guy, there are only a couple of them that actually do that anymore because all those guys can shoot. Well, that's where the game has been taught. Because a lot of those guys coming from overseas, they've been playing basketball for a while. This kid probably grew up. He was 4 foot something. He handled the ball, and all of a sudden he shoots up to 6 and 7 feet. At 6 feet something or 7 foot something, but he still takes that ball handling skill with him, and he learned to shoot the ball. They come over trying to compete. Most of those guys come over trying to shoot the basketball because they're not going down that paint. That's not what they're used to. They don't know how to play that. That's just not a part of their game. Dirk Nowitzki was a great example. He came over a 7 footer shooting stink out the ball, but later in his career he started attacking the basket and became, it was just by that time age had caught him, but he became even more efficient. So I think it's the philosophy. Um, your better teams, you find how excuse me, how to use all your tools. But most teams are stacked with 3 pointers because that's just how they are out there today. Now the game is slowly moving back inside, but I don't know it'll ever be like that back in the day. I don't think you'll see it that way.
Again, a lot of times it is. I mean, for me, it's hard to watch because it's just like, wow, it's just like. But anyway, that's just a personal preference, I guess. But wanted to ask you about tonight's game. I really was like, if Toronto didn't win tonight, they might as well just don't even show up the rest of the game. But I expected them to win.
I thought they would. I mean, the Warriors gave a heck of an effort. I mean, Thompson had, Curry had 47 points, but Toronto shot an unbelievably high percentage tonight from
Yes,
three,
they
from
did.
two, from the free throw line. They had tremendous defense. And let's be honest, the Warriors are undermanned. I mean,
Right.
next man up is it is great. It's worked for them, but you still are looking at guys who are not used to getting that many minutes on the floor. They're having to adjust. Skill level could be a little bit under, and they haven't had a chance to really work on that. I thought they would. I thought they would lose. I really thought they would lose. They're just undermanned. Now, for a minute there, they really made that thing look competitive, um, given that they were down again in the first half, but they really couldn't get past that 10-9 point lead. But boy, they went at it hard. Um, and you look at the game, and I don't believe in what ifs, but they lost the game, and then they got to prepare for game 4. But just for a minute, if you look at if, and I thought Cousins did a pretty good job, having not played that as much as he has. He's coming in, and if Looney had been there, how much difference would that have made? If Clay had played, how much difference could that have possibly made? And of course, with KD, so they were undermanned. It went in my mind. It was just, I really like them and want them to win, but when they shoot the ball like that and they are undermanned like they were, uh, it it would almost, in my mind, take a miracle for them to win. But now it will be interesting to see. And I give Toronto, I tip my hat to Toronto because they did some great stuff out there on that floor today. Those guys, block shots, running down shots on the court. Fast break, and they blocking shots off the rim. They rebounded and hit incredible shots, deep defended type shots. And they ran the floor well, and they played good defense. What's happened now in Game 4? I want to see what the Warriors will do they made a great adjustment from Game 2 on how the game is being played, some of the techniques in the game, but they're just undermanned. So now, does Clay come back? The probability is he may come back. The probability is that KD could come back. How will that impact what they do? Looney's out. He's not coming back this season. And I think that's a huge loss. But Bogan played well. Bogan did some good stuff. So it'll be interesting to me to see how Game 4 goes. If they can protect home, if they can split at home, and that will just make it 2-2, and then you go back to Toronto, and then it's a dogfight. I think it's going 7 no matter what. I think it's going 7. So, but I thought it was a good game still, even though they didn't win it. I really thought they showed a lot of heart. They fought hard, but Toronto was, and they just willed the ball in the hole. Now, will they shoot like that again? Most likely not, but they'll have to do some other things like that. They're going to have to play that kind of defense. They may not be able to shoot that well in another game, but they're going to definitely have to play some defense like that and really defend and put pressure on them, and don't let the Warriors have their way. But now when the Warriors are loaded, they represent problems. So again, I think it's interesting basketball.
They're great.
Yeah, I think it's good basketball. It's exciting. I like for everybody to go to gunfight with all their guns. I think it's exciting basketball when you have that.
Do you follow the FIBA, the USA team? Because Bill, Leonard.
When they get up, when they actually get started and start moving along, I pay a little bit of attention to them. I find it interesting that what they do to prepare in some of the games. I watch some of the games when they're televised. I know that they're starting to come together now, and they're following up on the previous winnings that they had to prepare for the next set of events. They're putting together a pretty interesting squad. I think AD is going to be there, so that's going to make it interesting. James Harden, okay, you got Harden. Okay.
Well, the thing is, I want to see how Harden is going to play with these guys more, because now
we've
gotten so used
to way he played with
Houston. ISO.
Same way. He can't play but one way. They're just going to use, and in that's going to be highly effective at one-on-one. Probably what they'll try to get him to do is, if he doesn't get the actual shot that he wants, because he does a good job of penetrating. And for him to penetrate and kick is going to open up a whole lot of other opportunities around the basket. First of all, you got to guard him at the 3, and because he steps back into the 3. He'll have a 2 shot and he'll step back into the 3.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see if they call it traveling, though, because they don't call this traveling in the NBA.
Well,
he travels a lot.
The international is even worse on stuff like that too. So he'll be able to walk. Yeah, he'll be able to walk from one side. He'll be able to walk from one side of the court to the other and just be normal play.
Wow.
But if he's playing reasonably well, they'll be able to attack and put a lot of pressure at the basket and kick out and have somebody shoot it down. AD's going to be a problem for him. If he's playing up to his potential, he's going to be a headache, because he's outside, inside. He and then on the defensive side of the ball, he creates a lot of problems. And Lillard can be on the offensive side of the ball, can really create some problems. He's not a bad defender either, but he can shoot the stink out of the ball. So I like what they're doing. I like to follow that. I think that's interesting when you put all that talent together, to see how well they play and how, watch the coaches kind of formulate an idea. I mean, as a coach, you got to be salivating to have that much talent all on the same team. I mean, the things that you could do with that much talent. I mean, so it's got to be exciting. Some of the best talent in the world.
Yeah. Do you know when it starts? Do you know when it starts, Vince? Because I mean, I'm
Well,
gonna
they
look it
won't
up.
really get kicked off until sometime in July, because there may be some players coming off of these two teams here that may end up being invited or have been invited or whatever. But I think it starts late, mid-July, somewhere down in there, early August.
Hmm. Okay, let's switch over to football for a second.
Mhm.
Before we do, Division Two and Division Three is gonna wait a year before they change the 3-point line. Division One will do it this coming season, but Division Two and Division Three
Right.
is gonna start it the following year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think division that's a good move. Let them test it out and see what else, see how it goes. That'll give you the most. They're being the most high profile. Put it on them. Let's see how it goes,
Okay.
and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because it'll be interesting, without a doubt.
Just to I did see the the the, the Blues in Boston the other night, Game 4. They tied up 2-2, so that was a really good game. I like watching
Mhm.
now I can watch hockey. Now hockey is much better to watch in person because it's a fast-paced game. It's very physical.
Mhm.
But I will start following it now because it's 2-2, so it's not the best two out of three.
Being in the town of a hockey team, I'm not still not a fan yet. Haven't been to a game, but the electricity of the city is unmistakable. You cannot beat what it's like, and these kids, and you go to some of the sports bars, and like for instance, they'll have the NBA game on maybe one TV, and hockey will be on all the other TVs, and that's a little not normal for me. I go in expecting to see the NBA's plastered all over, but it's the reverse. It's exciting. I've only been to two hockey games. I must admit that I like the action. I like the fights and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not really a fan yet. But
Uh
I got a feeling before long I will be.
huh. Well, did you check out the heavyweight championship in boxing? Did you did you
No,
see the highlights
no.
from that? Did you see the
I, I,
Mexican guy?
I thought that was embarrassing. That to me fuels the idea that it is fixed. Saw a little bit of video of that. Then of course I saw some still shots, but I saw a little bit of video, and I'm like, there's no way this guy should have won. I just don't see unless this other guy was just terrible.
And
And
then and
and he
actually,
kind of looked like both of them looked like they were terrible, to be honest with you.
well, actually, the guy that won was not supposed to be the guy that he was supposed to have fought because something happened where I think he was the third guy in line. He may have been the second. He may have been the third guy in line because something happened, and so he was kind of forced to fight this guy. So now he's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, they should have canceled that though, because that was ugly. I mean, and I saw so many people who follow boxing, who are boxing fanatics and in the boxing world scratching their head. Like, what the heck was that? You know. And so, what kind of defense is he going to have? He'll be a champ until the next fight, and he get knocked out.
Well, they're supposed to fight again. I think this coming November. I mean,
Mm,
somewhere around up in November.
I'll be trying
They're
to
trying
fight
to work
next
it out
week.
right now.
Yeah,
And
I'll
and,
fight
and
next week.
Vince, it's all about the money. They said,
Well, I don't blame him for that. I mean, money. I don't mind. I don't mind it being about the money. It's about my pride. I'm fighting for free. Let's fight next week in the parking lot for free for the belt. I mean, I agree. I'm okay with let's get some money for it because it's ugly. You might as well get some. might as well get some dollars out of it. But just the idea that that's the best you could do. I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, the integrity of the sport. You know what I mean? If I'm a boxing fanatic, man, I'm out of my mind right about now. You put that out there. How could you do that? So that's amazing to me. I'm like, guys, come on, man. Makes you wonder.
Levon Bell, your boy Bell is in the news. You know what he's in the news for? Because he was in the news for not showing up at camp, right?
Hey,
You know what he's in the news for now?
he got some stuff stolen from him. Once again, I saw an
I don't mean to
article,
laugh at him,
but I
but
saw an article recently that asked a very important question. Is that news?
well,
Do I really give a rat's patootie that somebody stole something from him?
but Vince, let me tell you where I come from, right? Right? And I'm not even thinking about the news, but I'm putting myself in the mindset of, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Oh, the conversation he had before he went up there and said, hey, how you doing? Man, that girl fine. Da, 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 da. Hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. Now she done stole over $500,000 of jewelry from that brother. It's like, oh. So from that perspective there, like, from hey, how you doing to what the? It's like, wow.
We got even in the world of sports, we got more important things going on than some knucklehead that got ripped off because he was stupid.
And I don't mean to laugh at him.
Tell me about the former UC assistant coach that just got sentenced due to his involvement in the college hoop trial scam, and that's news.
Right.
I want to know about that. This guy over here chasing women, and she outduped him, and now you want to put it on the news, and I'm supposed to be sympathetic for that. I mean, I feel like I agree with you. I mean, I'm not saying that that's okay, but I'm saying, okay. I mean, so you got duped. I mean, that's your fault. I mean, I'm struggling with that because these guys do so many stupid things that you could fill up a whole news day
Hey,
on the
Vince.
stupid stuff that they do.
Hey, Vince. He's struggling too.
Well, I mean,
I
he
meant
shouldn't.
his ego. His ego.
He should be certain right. I mean, come on now. You're that kind of a ball. You're that kind of athlete. You're in that celebrity category. Come on now. Where's your thinking here? You act like a rookie, like a first time rookie, the first check I ever got, and somebody snatched all your money from me. Look at these guys kill me sometimes. I mean, I know it's
That's like
there's
walking
no
down.
substitution for maturity, but
That's like walking down New York in Harlem with money in your sock showing.
well, it's like hanging out your pocket. It's like a GI coming from overseas, calling a cab, and you got $4,000 in cash in your hand, and you show it to the cab driver. You asking to be robbed. You asking to be robbed. So you. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. What you got in some NFL news? What the Dallas Cowboys doing?
Cowboys are really trying to sell it. They're trying to show that Prescott is their quarterback of the future. They're trying to settle his income, which I think they'll take care of him. And then they're trying to. Zeke was involved in a scandal scuffle. They're trying to clear that up. Then they're trying to solidify the team. I think what they're doing is trying to build that offensive line and then do something on the defensive side of the ball. Because once again, on paper, people are saying that they really have a great opportunity to be a very good, perhaps a Super Bowl team. But that's been said of them before, and they have not been able to get through it. I think this is going to be a critical year for Garrett and his staff. They already made some changes. I think the next change they make will be him. And he's got to have a decent showing this year, or they may pop him soon. If Jerry would stay out of the way,
Oh
I
yeah.
think they'd be so much better.
In the NFL, they were talking about what's the running back and man, I'm getting old, Vince. Oh, that
Mm.
played for Denver. That was really good. That had that run with when they won the championship, and he got hurt. What's his name?
Um,
Running back for
uh,
Denver.
I
That,
can
that played
see
with
his
John
face.
Elway.
Yeah, I see his face, but I can't call his name right now. Um,
Well, and the reason why because I mean the dude was great, man. He was a great running back until he got hurt. And the reason why I'm trying to remember his name because he was making reference to himself and what's the running back for the Rams now?
oh yeah, the young man that was out, he got hurt, and they did. Gullick, is it?
Y- Yeah, 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 yeah. He was saying that he's seeing the same signs that his injury that he's seeing in him. So
Mhm.
he was saying, I heard him talking on a sports show today that he's going to have to be very careful because it looks like he's headed down the same road. Here he is, he's a young running back, a
Mhm.
great running back. And then here now, the, this knee injury, because you saw what happened to him as he just declines, boom. He was up at the top. And then because he said, look, I played, then I would miss a game, then I would play, and then I would miss 2 games, then I would play, then I would miss 3 games, and then the rest is history. So he said you're gonna have to watch him because he's showing the same traits as he did when he was dealing with his injuries.
Yeah, so much technology and so much advancement is made on the being made uh, for these type of injuries, for particularly to athletes, contact sport. Like in football being a contact sport. But there's still common sense still comes into play. I think that's the challenge they had with Klay Thompson tonight for the Warriors. He wanted to play, he felt like he was ready to play, but they're erring on the side of caution and saying, well, let's not push. Let's try and get you back rather than to ruin your career. And that's been an argument about Durant is making sure that he's prepared, that he can play as opposed to putting him out there and then have a re-injury. So I think football is the same. That's what you're seeing. A lot of times these guys got to take care of themselves, man. You got to follow the rehab schedule. You got to do your rehab. You got to make sure that you follow those guys' instructions. And a lot of times those guys are quiet. They don't want to say it. They don't want to say I have pain because they want to play. And I understand that. That was the situation with Kawhi Leonard in it took place when he was in with the Spurs. They felt like he was healed. He should be able to play, and he felt he was not ready to play. And I mean, that's where it's hard to tell an athlete he's ready. We can say medically, you're clear. You don't have any medical conditions. But as you know, and many others may know, there's a psychological component that goes along with that. Until you resolve that psychological issue, you have what you think is physical pain. I mean, many times
Right.
it's really not there. It's all in your head. And so, all those things have to be done. But in the meantime, I'm paying the guy 400 million or whatever they're paying him sometimes to play, and he's sitting on the sideline. I want him to play, so back and forth, back and forth. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. And a lot of time, um, I would say err on the side of caution.
And,
I keep him.
yeah, and then the funny thing is, Vince, we're in June, right?
Right.
And so then we have July, August. We're gonna have football,
We're
and then,
already in OTAs
hey,
now. Already.
America will be back to its normal self.
Yeah. Well, there also have OTAs going on right now. He needs to be involved in that as well. And so the longer it takes, I mean, cautiously keep him out, but it just puts him behind. So even when they start playing, he probably won't get on, be able to really be effective if he can gain his physical uh, uh, fitness to that level, he probably won't be able to play until October.
I think it was Terrell Davis, wasn't it? Terrell Davis.
Terrell, I'm trying to think. It could have been Terrell. That sounds familiar.
Right, right,
Yeah, yeah, it might have been Terrell Davis.
right. And Gurley,
Mm.
Gurley.
Gurley is the guy from the Rams. Yeah,
Right,
Gurley,
Gurley. And
the guy from the Rams.
right, right, right. Well, I mean, the hour went by so fast. So I did hear you say earlier you think that it's going 7. We're talking about the Raptors and the
I do
Warriors.
think that it will go 7, and and I say that just for the competitiveness of the Warriors, and with hoping that they get some of their um, starters back. Now, if they don't get their starters, it could be a dogfight.
Right.
This next game to me will be very critical. You don't want to go back to Toronto down a game, so you don't want to go back to 3-1, boy. That could be tough. So they've got to find a way to win this next game. I still think it goes 7 though.
Okay. All right. With that being said, this is the original Coach Carter, where we come to you every Wednesday, normally at 11 p.m. But because of the game and you're a fan, we're fans, and
Okay.
so with that being said, the original Coach Carter and I'm hoping that it goes 7, and
Yeah.
it's a good series, and the
Yeah.
Warriors, man, they're such a great team, you know.
Yeah,
Looking forward.
and I really think this is some good basketball. I mean, Kawhi is really proven that he's the all-star and everybody thought he was washed up, and he's playing well. I think Lowry's playing very well. Chewbacca, these guys who people had kind of put them off the books, and look at them now. But I'm still a Warrior fan, but I really like this basketball. It's entertaining. It's fundamental. There's some fundamental stuff going out there. I love some of the action that you see on the floor. So I'm excited. I'm
All right.
enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. So with that being said, I wanted to ask you. You said that you're going to be coming here on the 10th of next month.
It's something, yeah. Our event is on the 13th. It is my plan to be there around 10, the night of the afternoon of the 10th, or the morning of the 11th.
Okay, and we're going to make that connection with the nail in Vegas. When are you planning to go to Vegas?
My plan was to do that later in the month, because I probably the last week of July is what I wanted to be out there doing the NFL, doing the NBA Summer League, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make that. For one, I'll be in Orlando, and they'll be on the tail end by that time. So it'll
Okay,
probably be later.
how long do you plan to be in Vegas?
If I go, about a week.
Okay, let me know the dates. Let me know the dates. I might see if I might be able to work it and see.
Yeah, I'm working on that now to see how that works out. I want to see Vegas through Donnell's eyes. I've seen part of it as a tourist. I've
Right.
seen a next part as a basketball fan. Now I'd like to see it as a resident of the area, because I know there's so much I haven't seen. But I'm a Vegas fan. I love Vegas. I like it out there a lot. It's entertaining. It's funny. It's busy, and there's some good food out there too. And I found a couple of restaurants that I fell in love with. So
Yeah. All right.
yeah,
Well, we're definitely
I'm a
going to
big
reach
fan.
out to Goose,
Yeah.
Danielle, and let the ball bounce. Sports
Hmm.
talk show. You can check it out on Facebook. So. And again, this is Youth Central Sports. I'm Charles Morse with the original Coach Carter, and where we come to you every Wednesday, 11 p.m. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook. We appreciate it. And any last words there, Coach, before we head out?
Well, I just want to remind people of our event on July 13th at the Smith Center, I think is going to be. I would love to see you come out and participate in the entire day, but carve out a little piece to come out and talk with us as we talk sports with parents about being a parent, a fan, and a coach, and trying to build strong futures for young athletes, male and female. Look forward to having that exchange. Look forward to seeing you, make some new acquaintances, and see some old acquaintances. Come
Yeah,
out and
we're going to
join us,
hit that
July
hard and
13th.
heavy starting next week for sure. We're definitely going to hit that hard and heavy. So it's sports is more than just a game. So our
Absolutely.
MC for the evenings from that morning to afternoon, you get to meet the original Coach Carter. Sit and talk to him. If there's lunch will be served, and so we're looking to
Yeah.
have a good time. And from what I was talking to, especially with Marcia, also Florida Sister Sports, Vince, it looked like we should start making this an annual event. So it looks like something that we should start doing every summer based on the feedback I'm getting from people.
Sound good. That would be interesting. I would really enjoy that because you could really plan and probably draw a lot of people to it, giving them a specific date that they could put on their calendar, and we could really blow it into a fabulous weekend of activity, but more importantly, information. And so I really, that sounds exciting. Give me
All right.
something to do every summer.
All right. Well, we'll be talking more and more about it coming up in the following week. So, make sure that you tune in for that as well. Well, I'm Charles Morse with the original Coach Carter. Thank you for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your week. You be blessed.